B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back on our Wednesday night Stump the Rabbi. Hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, you guys have some interesting questions. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu surely has the answers, and B'ezrat Hashem will give it to us to tell you. Today's Shiur will be for Refuah Shlema for our dear friend Yitro ben Avraham, for Levana bat Sarah, David ben Esriya, Doris bat Jora, Rabbi Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Batya bat Sarah, Serach bat Batya, Esther bat Tzipora, Elisheva Chaya bat Sarah, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have Refuah Shlema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. The parasha that we have has a very interesting situation where we read it every year, and but I only asked this question for the first time this year. You have a parasha that talks about, technically it's two parashot that we read, Tazria and Metzorah, which discusses discusses the whole issue of Sarat, which is the both physical and spiritual disease that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a person for falling under the sin of LaShon HaRa. And in today's world, a world that's almost ignorant completely to Sarat, both because it's not very common and because we are a Dor Shel Yetomim, we're an orphaned nation, orphaned generation, orphaned from the Emet, orphaned from the Gedolim we used to have. And most people don't understand really what Sarat is. But needless to say, most people don't understand what life without LaShon HaRa is either. If you don't speak LaShon HaRa today, people look at you like you're abnormal, like what's wrong with you? What else are you going to talk about? What else you want to talk about? You want to come over? Yeah, sure, what do you want to do? No, we'll chit-chat. What are you going to chit-chat about? As soon as you get to the friend's house, you're chit-chatting about other people. And this guy has this, and this guy has that. Is the volume on? Yes. This guy has this guy has that. The constant LaShon HaRa that we have today has become second nature to people. It's normal. Everyone knows it's wrong, even if they're not religious. I mean, there's even campaigns that secular people have in Eretz Yisrael that says LaShon HaRa lo medaber elai. LaShon HaRa doesn't speak to me. Meaning, you want to speak LaShon HaRa, don't talk to me about it. I don't want to hear it. Interestingly enough, I've actually found that secular people find LaShon HaRa more detesting than some of the religious people I've met. It's very interesting because that's the opposite of what it's supposed to be, but nonetheless, that's what it is. Now, if you look on the internet, says it's like shfichut damim. It's like you murdered them. You spoke about another person, you disclosed information about that person that's true, but he didn't want the world to know about. You told the whole world that he's rich. You told the whole world that he's poor. You told the whole world that he's just got divorced. You told the whole world that he's sick. You told the whole world stuff he didn't really want to tell the whole world. It's not your business to tell the whole world. But you decided to tell people. Oh, you hear about Steve? No. What happened with Steve? Oh, wow, you didn't hear? Oh, let me tell you. I got a juicy one. I can't wait to get rid of it. I got a juicy one for you. It was worth it to come to my house just for this one. What? I got a juicy one for you. You know, Steve and Dave and this one and that one? Well, they're all... By the time you finish, Hashem Yishmor v'yatzil. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates it. And at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, people that spoke LaShon HaRa, our parasha tells us that they would get Sarat. They would get this physical and spiritual disease, and we say that it's both because on a physical perspective, the person's body would change. He would have these spots on his body, different parts of his body would turn white, like sheleg, like snow. But if the situation got much worse, he would start losing body parts. Literally, body parts would start falling off. And the guy had Sarat, every few days, another finger would fall off. A finger, a foot, this, that. So the other guy, after a few days, he goes, I know what you're doing. You're breaking out of here in pieces. Torah jokes, what do you want? So, the guy that has Sarat, Hashem Yishmor, you look at the Midrashim, what it says, these people, how much they suffer. Immediately, if they're confirmed by the Kohen that they have Sarat, exiled from the camp. And Chachamim say this is a measure for measure punishment, just like when you said LaShon HaRa, you caused people to become distant from that person because now they know this information about him, because usually the information you share is negative. Then people are not going to want to be friends with him anymore. They're not going to be married to him anymore. They're not going to be, do business with him anymore. And because of that, you're going to be distant from everybody else. That's the measure for measure. And when does he come back? After it heals. When does it heal? There's no antibiotics for Sarat. There's actually a hospital. There's a hospital in Eretz Yisrael. I've never been, but Rabbi Ephraim says it's there. There's a hospital in Eretz Yisrael for people that have Sarat. Now, you're not going to hear about this hospital in the news because no one leaves the hospital. You go in, it's like a hospice. You go in there to die. But just, they know how to deal with you. But you have to be put into a certain place where no one is allowed to even look at you. Mamash, like it's scary. Why? It's infective. It's infectious. It's a nightmare. What do you guys think? Corona? Corona's a puppy next to this thing. But with no antibiotics, with no nothing, how does a person go back into the camp? It says clearly that many people got cleared out of Sarat, that they got healed. How do they get healed? The spiritual part. The immense amount of pain that the person is enduring is not just the embarrassment, but also physical, but also it requires the person to arrive at the conclusion that we all have to arrive at every single day, which is that we have to do Teshuvah. No matter where you are in your life today, you must do Teshuvah. Yeah, but Rabbi, I'm already keeping stuff. Keep more. If you are alive, you must do Teshuvah. It's a mitzvah from the Torah to do Teshuvah for something every day. And surely we all have something to do tshuva for. Even the biggest giant chachamim in the world will tell you they have to do tshuva. When Rav Kanievsky tells people you got to do tshuva, we got to do tshuva, you think he's not including himself and we? When Rav Kook from Tveria, Refuah Shlema we have, B'ezrat Hashem, when he says we have to do tshuva, you think he's not talking about himself first? The bigger the chacham, the more they understand how much tshuva they have to do. Now, a person that has Sarat has to arrive at that conclusion quickly. Why? Because that's the only way that he's going to get healed. What if he says he did tshuva and he didn't get healed? That means he didn't do tshuva. Why? Because the only one that decides if he did tshuva is Yodea Ta'alumot, the one who knows all the secrets. The one that knows all the hidden. What's the hidden? What's in your heart? What's in your mind? You can look like a tzaddik, be a rasha gamur. You can look like a tzaddikah, kisui rosh, and everything. Dress from here to there. Yes, Rabbi, yes, Rabbi, yes, Rabbi. Yes, I love Rabbanim. And be an eshet ish. Hashem yishmor v'yatzil. Think I'm making this up? I know people like this. Woman looks like a tzaddikah, kisui rosh, zealous for Hashem. Oh, I can't believe people are mechalel Shabbat. Oh, I can't believe this. I can't believe that. I can't believe this. Fire! Rabbi, I have a problem. What? I have a boyfriend. What? What do you mean you have a boyfriend? You're married, 4 kids. Yeah, that's where you come in, Rabbi. That's the problem. That's the problem. The boyfriend's not the husband. How did it happen? Mistake. This. Okay, you made mistakes. You gotta fix it. You gotta fix this mistake. How? You gotta leave. No, but I love him. Okay, so go to Gehenom then. These things exist. Woman calls me one time, tells me, Rabbi, we're religious people. Got 4 kids, all in yeshivot, all life religious, all life keeping mitzvot. I said, Baruch Hashem, why are you calling me then? Why did you say it's an urgent call? He says, because I just found out my husband's cheating on me. I said, Hashem Yachem, I'm sorry to hear. What is it, somebody you know? We just started? She goes, no. He has 5 kids with her. He's been cheating for 17 years. Guy has 2 families. One family, Jewish people, religious, go to yeshivot. 1, Goya, 5 Goyim kids. I don't know how you figure out the logistics of living those 2 lives. That's beyond me, and B'ezrat Hashem will always be beyond me. But Rabotai, this happens. People live 2 lives. A person that says LaShon HaRa also lives 2 lives. Why? Because many times they say hello to your face. They say, how are you? They say, Chazak u'Baruch. But they say LaShon HaRa about you. Oh, you hear what he said? You hear where she went? You hear what happened? Kadosh Baruch Hu hates it. And he knows if you did Teshuvah for it. And the only way that the person gets healed is if he did Teshuvah. Where the Yodea Ta'alumot, the one who knows the hidden, testifies, this person has done Teshuvah. What's the proof? No Sarat. But that's not really my question. I'm just explaining to you the background. What's the question? The question is this. If you read the parasha, Parashat Tazria, you see that the entire parasha, in the beginning, the first paragraph also talks about the tum'ah of a woman that gives birth, where after a woman gives birth, or actually the second her water breaks, she's tmeah, she's considered nida. Nothing wrong with her, but she's nida. And she has to wait until the bleeding stops and she's officially can go back to the mikveh, which typically takes a couple of months, sometimes longer. If she goes to a Jewish doctor, that time frame is usually around a month to 2 months. If she goes to a goy doctor, it could be as much 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Why? What's the difference? What, the Jew has a secret? Yes, the Jew has a secret. I'm not talking about any Jew. I'm talking about a religious Jew. It could be a Jew that's a Nazi. It could be a Jew that's a Zionist. It could be a Jew that's a kofar. He's worse than a goy even. But a Jew that's religious knows that there's this mitzvah called taharat habayit, family purity. And a woman is not allowed to be with her husband when she's impure, when there's blood coming out of there and she hasn't gone to the mikveh. Now, when a baby is delivered, that baby leaves, but not everything in there leaves with it. So the doctor has to work a little extra to make sure that as much of the blood from that area is removed during the actual delivery. So there's as little as possible left, so she can become pure sooner. If he doesn't, and the blood stays there, she could be nidah for 6 months. And that could cause a lot of problems. Why? The guy ends up wasting seed, the guy ends up losing his mind, the woman, everybody. She wants affection, she wants a hug. Forget about intimacy. Intimacy is not just the act. People think that's they only the husband and wife, they only know each other when they're making babies. Intimacy sometimes holding hands. Intimacy sometimes sitting next to each other. That's what a real relationship is. People think that it's only about the act. They don't know anything about marriage. The most intimate thing that you can do with your wife is hold her hand. Hence the reason of why you're not allowed to do it in public. Not to hold your wife's hand in public. Not to show your wife affection in public. Shulchan Aruch. Why not? Why are you showing intimacy in public? What are you, idol worshiper? What are you doing? Yeah, but she's my wife. Yeah, she's your wife, not their wife. So why are you doing something that's going to cause them to have ideas? Me holding my wife's hand in public, me taking a picture, holding my wife, giving her a hug, is going to give people thoughts? Yes, it's going to give people thoughts. Who said? Shulchan Aruch. You don't comply with Shulchan Aruch? Then go find a different religion. Yeah, but I saw Rabbi Goldberg do it. Rabbi Goldberg has a villa in Gehenom. Especially since many of the people he's doing it with are not even his wife. It's not even just nidah. It's a eshet ish. Guys taking pictures with foreign women, somebody else's wife. Yeah, no, good, smile, smile. Yeah, Gehenom, yeah, cheese, yeah. I'll see you soon. Yeah, you will. Eshet ish. You hug another woman, it's not your wife, it's eshet ish. She's married, eshet ish. It's a problem. But until the rabbi do it, yeah, he has double problem. Your sin and his sin. Who said? Shulchan Aruch. Your affection to your wife, private. So why is it so important to hold my wife's hand? Privacy. What's going to happen? She's going to see that you care. And you're not using her like some machine. Now, a person needs to understand that although you love your wife, you still have physical needs. She has physical needs. And you have to do whatever you possibly can to mitigate the risk. So that's why you have to go to a Jewish doctor. That's an Orthodox Jewish doctor to deliver babies and not be a hero and say, no, but find one. If you have one, find one. If you don't have one, you don't have one. Don't send me 500 questions. Listen, I live in Kentucky in the middle of, no, I don't have one. Oh, you don't have one, you don't have one. But if you have one, find it and go there. We travel an hour just to go to a doctor. Even though there's 5,000 doctors next to us, 5 minutes, we drive an hour. Why? Because it's a good doctor. Good doctor. She's fantastic doctor. Dr. Greenbaum. and very nice woman, very smart, but most importantly, knows what needs to happen. So the first part of the parasha talks about the issues of purity and impurity after you deliver babies. The rest of the next two parashot about Sarat. That's a lot of information about Sarat. That technically, when was the last time you saw someone with Sarat? You wouldn't even know how to identify it. Unless you had a sign or something. I don't know, maybe people walking with signs today. They walk around with big signs, Nike, maybe they go Sarat too, who knows? But the reality is, why do we need to know all this information about Sarat? And what is this information? The information is the signs. If he has this, you check it, you come back a few days later, if he still has it, then he has Sarat. If he doesn't have it, then it's not Sarat, it's something else. Or it went away. And it's just different signs of different body parts. On the head, on the arm, on the this, on the that. I mean, Akadosh Baruch Hu did not put an extra yud in the Torah. Why is he spending so much time telling Klal Israel about signs of Sarat that he knew very well at the time he wrote the Torah 974 generations before he created the world, that the generation that we have today, it's more or less not necessarily going to be relevant, the practical aspect of it. We don't have Kohanim that can purify anyone. We don't have Kohanim that can verify. And most importantly, we don't really have many people with Sarat. So what do I need to know all these signs for? Because every kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, reads Parashat Shavua every year. Guess what? He's going to have to learn this. Why does he have to learn this for? When is he going to use it? Why do I have two entire parashot talking about something that's not, technically, it sounds like it's not relevant, Chas v'Shalom. And we can't say it's not relevant, because if it's in the Torah, it's relevant. The Gemara Masechet Megillah says the Torah has 55 prophets in it. But that's not all the prophets we've had. The amount of prophets that we have, the Gemara says, is no less than double the amount of men that left Mitzrayim, meaning no less than 1.2 million people were prophets, spoke to God, and he spoke back. Knew things about the future. So the Gemara asks a natural, logical question, well, how come we don't know their names, these 1.2 million people? We only know the names of 55. Answer is, because their prophecy, these 1.2 million people, minus 55, their prophecy, their communication with Hashem, was only relevant to their generation. And from there we learn that everything that the other 55, the ones we have in the Tanakh, everything they said is relevant to us today, 3,000 plus years later. Everything, every verse. Every single verse in the Torah is relevant to you. Every single verse in the Torah is relevant to this generation. Now, if you don't know why and how, obviously that's the point of learning. We toil and we toil and we toil and we toil until we find out. Why do you think Rav Kanievsky does also Shtay Mikra Targum? It's not just because it's the Halacha and Shulchan Aruch to read the Chumash every week. He's every week finding new things. Doesn't matter if you're a big Chacham, small Chacham, 6 years old, 60 years old. You got to read it. Why? You got to keep reading it over and over again. You read it 1,000 times. No, why again? Because there's more stuff to find out. You can read it 1 billion times. You're still going to have more stuff to find out. So now that we know that everything that's written in the entire Tanakh is relevant to every generation, it's needless to say, it's a kal v'chomer that the most critical, the most important part of the Tanakh, the 5 books of Moses, surely everything that's written in there is relevant to every single person and every single generation and every single time and every single day. So then we go back to our question again, our sugya. We have a complication here. Why do I need to know about all of these signs if I'm not a Kohen, I'm not even a Levi, I'm not going to check anyone? Quite frankly, I barely understand what you're talking about. Why do I need to read it not only once? I got to read it every year with commentary. That's the question I asked this week. You know when I was asking it? When I was trying to do Teshuvah, when the T-Rex was in my office. I was trying to do Teshuvah, feeling sorry for myself. I started reading Chumash. And the question came to my head. And the Siyat Dishmaya, the answer too. Rabotai Yekarim, if you notice, all of these signs says the Kohen comes, he checks, and sometimes he has to come back a few days later. Why? Why does it have to come back a few days later? Why does it go away? Why does it not go away? It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu showing us His mercy to the gravest sinners by even giving them an opportunity to do Teshuvah, but immediately. It's at that point of too late, but I'll still give you an opportunity to do Teshuvah. It's not like the guy, like everything is going okay, but he's starting to see the market shaky. He's starting to see that the marriage is shaky. She's starting to see that her health is shaky. No. This is too late. You got your arm looks like snow. You got stuff that's not so good. It's stage 4 cancer. But it could go away in 2 days. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu decides. How can it go away in 2 days? The same way that it could go away if you don't do Teshuvah and you end up getting thrown out of the camp, it's going to go away the same way. How? You do Teshuvah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us time after time a shiur of showing us, okay, you got a sign on your hand. Okay, what? Your hand. What's your hand? Business. What's your business? Where's your, you got something's wrong with your business? You're saying it's a little shaky, you're not making as much money, you're losing money, your partner looks like he's cheating. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing with your money? You're spending it right, you're investing it right. I'm not talking about investing in houses and stocks. Investing it in Torah, investing it in mitzvot. You got a $40,000 watch, but only $400 tzedakah. You think that makes sense? If you think that makes sense, then coin's coming back in a couple of days. You got a sign on your head. Why you have a sign on your head? What are you thinking about? You thinking about women? You thinking about men? You thinking about all types of immorality? How come you're not thinking about Torah? I'm going to give you a couple of days. Couple of days you better do Teshuvah. But not in a couple of days you better do Teshuvah. You better do Teshuvah right now, that in a couple of days it's already gone. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us time and time again, example after example, that sometimes He gives us a very strong sign. He gives us a bomb in our face. But He also tells us that even though it looks horrific, He could fix it. When? He could fix it instantly. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. How could He do it? Well, you could fail too. Never ever underestimate the power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah, but I did what He wanted and He didn't fix it. Apparently you didn't do what He wanted. Because if you did, He could have fixed it. Now, sometimes a person does a lot of good things, but still the situation is not fixed. The situation that he wants is not fixed. The situation that she wants is not fixed. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him a little difficulty, or a lot of difficulty. Why? There are other reasons. Sometimes the Kadosh Baruch Hu will give you difficulty after you do tshuva. Why? He says, I like that you're doing tshuva. And because I like that you're doing tshuva, and I'm already building you a nice place in Gan Eden, I don't want to see your precious neshama go to Gehinom. So what am I going to do? I'm going to give you a little suffering right now. Paid the bill already right now. For how long? Don't worry. I'll take care of you. You're going to be okay. Yeah, but I've been suffering for 5 years already. I've been suffering for 15 years already. Okay, so another year is not going to hurt. Another 2 years is not going to hurt. Don't worry. I promise you, once you realize what it was, instead of that 5 years, instead of that 15 years, instead of that 5 months, instead of that 50, whatever it is, you are going to end up getting Gan Eden. Instead of the, trust me, I tell you, you're going to say, Hashem, what a bargain. What a bargain you give me. Shtabach Shimolad. Never ever underestimate the mercy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But even more so, Rabotai Karim, never underestimate the power of your tshuva. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us countless times how much He loves tshuva, so much so that the Gemara says in a couple of different places that the level that Baalei tshuva, the level that a real Baal Tshuva gets to, not someone that just started keeping Shabbat last week, but he still doesn't know that he has to divorce his non-Jewish wife. Not someone that, okay, she bought a couple of nice, modest dresses, but she still goes to clubs with them. No, I'm talking about a real Baal Tshuva. Someone that said, enough's enough. Whatever I know, I'm doing. I'm not going to drive on Shabbat. Quite, I heard the rabbi says driving on Shabbat, no good. I'm not going to go with immodest people because a rabbi keeps saying Gehinom when he says immodest. I don't know. Something sounds so good. I'm not going to go to a non-kosher restaurant because the rabbi says no good. Oh, whatever I know I'm doing. Understand or understand doesn't make a difference. Whatever I know I'm doing. That's a Baal Tshuva. That's a Baal Tshuva, Rabotai. You have to become tzaddik kamur. Has to be committed to becoming a tzaddik. Every day works on himself. Every day she works on herself. She works on her modesty. She works on her ethics. She works on everything. Every day. Every day he works on himself. He toils to fix everything. I know, I'm going to do. I failed, I'm going to try again. Yeah, but it's hard. Doesn't make a difference. Keep going. That's about tshuva. And the Gemara says, someone that merits to be a real Baal Tshuva gets to a higher level than someone that's been righteous his entire life. Tzadikim Gemurim. That's how high. Alvai, we all merit to be Baal Tshuva. You don't have to be Mechalet Shabbat to be a Baal Tshuva. I got one Talmid, from birth. Always been religious, went to yeshivot, grew up religious, everything. If you go to our website, on the Teshuvah stories, you see his personal story. He says, I finally did Teshuvah when I started listening to Rabbi Reuven's lectures. What do you mean? You've been religious your whole life? I finally started doing Teshuvah. Why? I realized Teshuvah requires a little bit more than just praying and eating kosher. Now, a person that merits to do tshuva, such a fantastic thing. In Shamayim, they celebrate this person. They can't wait to see him or her. When a person takes advantage of this opportunity and does tshuva, he could literally change the world in a matter of seconds. Parashat Tezriah, Parashat Metzorah tells us that although the situation looks dire, stage 4 cancer, AIDS, chronic condition, doctor says you're simply not going to live. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I decide. I decide if you're going to live or not. There are two brothers on record, on video, from years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Both of them went to give a blood. wanted to be generous, wanted to do something good, gave blood, made a mistake. The doctors made a mistake. Both of them got AIDS. HIV eventually turned to AIDS. Both guys Israelis. Both guys Jewish. Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzid. Both guys young and secular. One brother realized, I don't have much time. The other brother realized the same thing. One brother said, since I don't have much time, I'm going to start preparing for the next world. Started doing Teshuvah seriously. Everything he learned, he did. Shabbat, everything. His brother said, I'm going to live it up. I'm only here for a little while longer. I'm going to enjoy myself. The one that was enjoying himself is dead. Died shortly later. The one that did Teshuvah, Rabotai Yekarim, and this is on record. This is on record. It's on. I saw this with my own eyes on a video. He's on stage telling 1,000 people this. There's articles and newspapers about it. He says, Rabotai, I did Teshuvah, I did Teshuvah, I did Teshuvah, I did Teshuvah, and every so often I have to go to the doctor to check. One day, the doctors are doing the regular check, what's going on, how I'm progressing, how I'm digressing, what's going on. And the doctors all gather in the room and they're all confused. And one is arguing with the other. Wait, hold on a second. You made a mistake? No, give me the other one. No. They're starting to argue with each other. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Something, maybe they don't want to give me the bad news. So, okay, we're sorry, we got to do another test. But we just did. It's hard. It's not an easy test. No, we got to do another blood test, this, that. Okay. They do another test. Come back. All doctors again. All dumbfounded. You did it? Yeah, I did it this time. No, sure. For sure. Everything. You followed this time. Yes. I don't understand. Everybody's confused. Sir, we have no idea what happened, but you don't have AIDS anymore. It's gone. A disease that does not have a cure disappeared. It's gone. Ishtabach Shim Olad. His brother, dead. He, alive. Baruch Hashem. Why? There's no limitation to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu could do. He does not have to work with the natural. If anyone truly knew the genom that I went through in my life and what I looked like some years ago, you'd understand how much different life is today. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has no limitations. He tells us in this parasha, you have different problems because you're making mistakes. I'm going to give you time, but eventually that time runs out, and before it gets too far, I'm going to give you a nice chapcha to the face to wake you up, make your face white, make your arm fall off, make you go into pain, divorce, lose money, nightmare, another nightmare, all types of bad stuff. Those, my dear son, those, my loving daughter, are slaps and kicks and punches of love from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm giving it to you because I love you, not because I hate you. If I hated you, I'd take you out, put you in Genom, put you in Kavakela, let the Malachim have fun with you, play soccer with your neshama for nice 50 years, like Nachman Bialik, Shem Reshaim Yirkav. Rabbi Yaron Reuven had a seminar years ago. He told people that it's very easy to bring a neshama to the world. He says if it was allowed in the Torah, I'd bring you a neshama in front of you. It's very easy. If people know how to do it, in 2 minutes I can bring you a neshama, he says. And he says, I know people that have done it, even though it's forbidden by the Torah. And he started talking, and then the conversation went, and he says, someone like Nachman Bialik, that person is suffering a lot. He is in Kafakela. A couple of young guys in the army, soldiers, this was a seminar, they decided to leave the seminar, go to their room, open up a Ouija board that they had, and bring down the neshama of Nachman Bialik. Because they knew how to do it. They learned it in the army. Good school over there. They brought down the neshama of Nachman Bialik. They asked him questions. Nachman Bialik says to them, everything Rav Yagen is saying is true. But tell him that I just completed my 50-year sentence in Kafakela. They asked him, why did you get 50 years? He says, 1 year for each time I cheated on my wife. And now I have the merit to go to Gehenom. They went down, seminar's long, it's a whole day, it's a whole weekend. They come back and say, these guys are, cool, everything. They're completely secular people. Said, they come out, they interrupt, says, I'm sorry, we have to interrupt. I'm sorry, Kvod Rav, you're going to want to hear this. Everything you're saying is true. Everything the rabbi is saying is true. Oh, thank you very much. No. We want to tell you, everything he's saying is true. What he said earlier about Nachman Bialik, he's right. We just spoke to Nachman Bialik. He says, Kvod Rav, everything you're saying is true, but he wants to tell you one chidush. He just completed his 50th year in Kafakela. Now, a person that understands the opportunity that he has to do teshuvah while he's alive, while she's alive, does everything possible to eliminate all of these things, all of these risks of going to bad places, and does everything possible to go to a good place. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, sometimes you're going to do some bad things, and if I'm going to give you such a big slap, such a big kick, that it's going to hurt. But I promise you, my dear son, my dear daughter, I promise you, that it's only because I love you that I'm kicking you really hard, that I'm punching you really hard. It's only because I love you that I'm doing it. Because if I didn't love you, I'd send you somewhere else, a place you can't do teshuvah anymore. I'm giving you this kick because I promise you, if you take the lesson that you learned today from Parashat Tazria, from the lesson that you didn't think you had any connection to, and realize that this kick is me giving you an opportunity to wake up and fix yourself. To wake up and start doing what I said, not what you think. You take an opportunity, you take advantage of it, and you start doing teshuvah, that kick is going to be the biggest blessing that ever happened to you. That pain, that suffering, however long and however difficult and however painful it was, you will end up blessing my name for eternity that I gave it to you. But only if you realize why I'm kicking you, why I'm hitting you, and then do the right thing and do teshuvah. But if you don't, then all of that kicking and all of that suffering and all of that pain will be for naught, because the outcome of your actions and your inactions of doing teshuvah will lead to much greater suffering, but only at a place where you can no longer do teshuvah. When a person understands that their suffering has such a significant value, where it's truly an opportunity, it's mamash divine providence. It's slightly less than prophecy, if you understand what it means. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking to you, but not in words, in actions. He's splitting the ocean for you, but it hurts. if you see that suffering as that, you see it as blessing. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but it has now a value, a very significant value. Hashem just gave you a ticket to Olam HaBa. All you got to do is follow the instructions. This, Rabotai, I think is the most valuable lesson that we can learn today, for me at least, from these parashot, at least for now. There's obviously no end to the amount of lessons we can learn, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to learn this. Surely there are many, many other questions that you have. And we'll go with those because there's other things I can say, but I think that for now, let's settle with this. Bechavod, who wants to start with a question? Yes.
Concerning LaShon, is it, well, does it apply to also to Goyim as well? Like between them?
Does LaShon apply to Goyim?
Yes.
No, I mean it all depends on the damage. It's not the same thing as it is for Jews, where it's simply stating something by itself, by default, is a sin. But with Goyim, sometimes their words can lead to some type of an outcome, and that could be potentially a sin. It could lead to literally somebody dying, and they could be considered a murderer because of that. So it all depends. It's not to the same details. Surely it's frowned upon. Surely it's unethical, and surely someone that does that is going to be sinning in a lot of different other ways. As a Noahide or as a Jew. So the Torah says that midvar sheker tirchak. You must stay away from a thing of lies. Stay away from it. It doesn't say don't lie, it says stay away from it. Meaning it's so bad, don't only not lie, but run away from it. Now, but sometimes there are certain circumstances where lying is in essence the right thing to do. Because you are, let's say, saving something, you're not hurting somebody. Let's say if your spouse tells you, how do I look? The answer is not usually what you're thinking at times, because maybe they don't look as great as they want you to think. But you can't tell them that. So you tell them what they want to hear, or better than what they want to hear. Now, is that lying or not? The Torah tells us that even in a situation like that, where lying is actually the right thing to do, don't lie. Does that mean I tell her the truth that she looks like a whale? No. No one says it that way. You think we're stupid? No. What does she say? What do you got to do? You got to be vague. Never directly lie. You have to learn how to be vague, where it's not a lie. So if you know, for example, that your wife is very, very self-conscious about her age. Women, for some reason, are self-conscious about their age. Sometimes men are, but that's, I think, only in this generation of feminine men. Now, the thing is, though, is that if she's very self-conscious, and she, let's say, I don't know, she's 50 years old, but she doesn't want people to know that she's 50 years old. She wants to tell she wants people to think that she's 40 years old. Now, you can't tell people this. They ask her, how old is your wife? Oh, she's 40. Yeah, that's a lie. But you can't tell them she's 50, because now it's going to hurt her. So what do you got to do? You got to somehow maneuver the conversation, either to completely not answer it and say do something else, or you could say something to the tone of, she'll be 50 in November, meaning as if she's not, even though she is. Meaning you tell them their birthday rather than their actual age. I remember in the business world, one of the guys in the office wanted customers to think that he's older. but because he was still in his early 20s, and most of the customers in the investment world are old timers, because that's the people that usually have money. So if he told them he's younger than their grandson, they wouldn't necessarily want to jump on board with him to do business with him and give him $1 million to invest. He's still a kid in their eyes. So what do you say? He says instead of saying I'm 21, he says I'm going to be 31 in such and such month, which is technically true. He will be 31 in such and such month, but just in 10 years from now. Now, of course, this is unethical, and you should not do it. But the point being is that's what I mean when I say being vague. Being vague where you're not outright lying. Why? Why is this such a, even though it's the right thing to lie in that particular case, why should you still not lie? Because the sages teach us, if you lie there, surely you will start getting accustomed to lying in other places. This is the same thing of why the halacha is that the Chachamim say that you should never go into a business where you're lending money to goyim with interest. Never. Yeah, but some Chachamim say it's allowed to charge them interest. It's not allowed to charge Jews interest. But why shouldn't you charge goyim? Shlomo Melech had a takana. Shlomo Melech had a takana. You're not allowed to lend money to Jews or non-Jews with interest. Yeah, takana. He said not allowed, not for Jews or non-Jews. So Chachamim said, yeah, but technically the halacha is you're allowed to charge the non-Jews interest. So why is Shlomo Melech why is saying don't do it anyway? It says because if you start lending money to goyim and charge them interest, first and foremost, one of the Chachamim, Rabbeinu Bechaya, says that all of your customers are going to be goyim. Not going to be Jews. Why? Because you still want to go to Gan Eden, right? So you're only going to have goyim. But if you get all your customers are goyim, you're going to constantly hang out with goyim. You have Chris and Peter and Paul and John, they're all your customers. Before you know it, you become a Christian. Why? Because that's all your customers who you hang out with all the time. They're going to affect you. Rashi Ala Makom says even more. He says it's not just who your friends are. Let's say you're Talmid Chacham. You still shouldn't do it. You're not going to be affected by Peter and Paul. But you still shouldn't do it. Why not? Because if you start charging the goyim interest, you're going to get used to charging interest. And you're going to build a desire to charge interest. Easy money. And little by little, it's going to get to a point where you're going to want to charge Jews interest too. A Jew comes to you and tells you, listen, I got good credit, I got good this, I got good that. I want to borrow $10 million. You know on that deal you're going to be making a fortune. What are you going to say? No. If you already fell in love with interest, you're not going to say no. And Rashi says that's why Shlomo HaMelech says don't charge interest, not the goyim or the Jews. Why? It's a bad thing to do. Bad thing to do. Bad thing to do. You're going to get yourself used to doing bad things. Yeah, but it's allowed. Just because it's allowed doesn't mean you should do it. So it's critical to know that when it comes down to LaShon HaRa, even though the goyim do not have the same restriction of laws, of the details of who, what, when, and how to say, anyone that speaks LaShon HaRa, whether they be Jew or Gentile, and they do it on a regular basis, surely they're going to be led to doing other crimes and lose their Olam Ba one way or the other. And that's why it's it's not something that anyone should do, whether Jew or Gentile. Next question. Yes.
When one is praying from the Shiur and he stumbles on the name of Hashem,
Ken.
or Elokeinu, like in that situation, should one like repeat it or the name, or just like keep on going?
If he said Elokeinu, then yes, he should say the one with the hey, because in essence Elokeinu, he's not saying Hashem's name, he's not saying anything at all. But if he mispronounced the Shem Havaya, the Yud K Vav K, he mispronounced that, then he doesn't go back. And in fact, if he goes back, he says it again. It could be a sin of saying Hashem's name in vain. Not for the first time, the second time. First time counted, even though he said it wrong. Why? We actually learn that beautiful lesson. I learned from Rabbi Ephraim that there is a Shlomo Melech says it, and there's also in a Gemara commentary on it, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu enjoys those mistakes. He likes those mistakes, not specifically just with his name, but with other things. Mispronouncing the name, making mistakes early. Why? Because he looks at us as babies. When you're a new Baal Teshuvah, you're only a few years in, 5, 10 years in even. You're new, you're going to make mistakes. How? You're going to sometimes forget to say the bracha the right way, mispronounce things, and sometimes even pronounce it in such a way where it's the opposite of its meaning. Instead of oavecha, you say oivecha. Instead of saying your lovers, you say your enemies. To Hashem. Hashem says, I giggle on those. Why? Because I look at you like a baby. A little baby, he's cute. She's cute. Why? Because they try to walk at some point. And what happens? They fall in their tushy. And you know how cute that is? You know how cute it is to see a little baby fall in their tushy? It's the greatest thing in the world. All day you want to see it. Why? It's such a cute thing. Now if he's 20 years old, he's still falling in his tushy. It's not cute, he's drunk. But if he's a year old and he's falling on it's the cutest thing in the world. That's how Kadosh Baruch Hu looks at us. He looks at us brand new. Because we tried. But we made mistakes. We mispronounced this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not counting as a sin. Not counting as a sin. Because you knew. So don't beat yourself up so much about it. Sometimes people are so harsh on themselves. Hashem says, why so strict? Hashem says to them, why so strict? You're machmir you. You're more strict than the Satan himself. The Yitzhara is saying to you, why so strict? So you have to know there's a law, there's mistakes sometimes that you make. Don't beat yourself up. Move on. Constantly move on. Move forward. Okay, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Move forward. Don't be nonchalant about it. Well, you're not fixing it and I don't really care type of care. That's not good either. But point is that, okay, I made a mistake. I messed up. I made this. I made that. No problem. Move on. Okay. I'm going to be more careful next time. Be more careful next time. And that's it. That's one of the things that the Chachamim teach is that when it comes to brachot, a person should break his bracha into 3. Instead of swallowing words, and sometimes swallowing the most critical word, which is Hashem's name, you break up every bracha into 3. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, borei pri adama. Or whatever the bracha is. Meaning, break up the bracha into 3. Have like a momentary pause in between. Why? Because that's going to give you enough time to not only collect your thoughts, but also think about what you've said and what you're about to say, and make much less mistakes and have more kavanah. But when we do things really quickly, it's becomes safek bracha b'chlal. You're not even sure if it's a bracha or you just said something you read in a newspaper. You're not really sure, but you remember to eat, you remember to drink. So it's good to break up your bracha into 3. Next. Yeah.
Same thing on the subject. When you're saying the name of Hashem, it seems like, I personally find it difficult sometimes to have the right concentration on it, because I can't really think about anything like specific, and he has no image in group.
Ken.
So how do you...
In the beginning, and by in the beginning I mean for a long time. You have to think about what does it mean to say Amonai, to say Hashem's name. Obviously it's with a D instead of a Mem. But you're not allowed to just say Hashem's name blankly. It's either you say it in a blessing or you say it in a verse. So that's why we say Elokeinu instead of with the Henu. We say Amonai instead of Donai. You understand? So now, when you're saying a blessing, you have to think about, what am I really doing here? I'm talking to Hashem. Now, who is Hashem? What's Hashem? Adon Olam, Aya Ove Ve'yeh. He's the Adon Olam. He's the master of the world. There's no creator to the creator. He's Ba'alei Yecholet, he's capable of everything. He's the master of all creation. Meaning, what is it like? It's like, for example, le'avdil, you have, let's say, a robot. Now this robot may be the next big X-Men or something. This robot is big, he's strong, he's sophisticated, he has all types of technology where he could pretty much already have artificial intelligence. And bottom line is, the creator of that robot presses one button, that robot's worth nothing. He becomes a garbage pail. Why? Because although that robot is strong and smart and all that stuff, the master of that robot has an off button, has control. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Ba'alei Yecholet. He's the master of all. So even though you may be great and he may be great and that may be great, he presses the button, finished. So he's the master of everything. So he's Adon Olam, he's Ba'alei Yecholet, Aya Oveh Ve'yeh. He was, he is, he will be. He was always here, he has no beginning. He is here at all times, paying attention to every single detail. There is no detail that he misses. Whether that detail is about all of our thoughts or the entire world's of thoughts simultaneously at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for eternity. All the feelings you have, all the desires that you have, all the actions that you do, there's nothing that you hide from him. At all times he's paying attention, and he's calculating, and he's writing down everything. That's what Haya means. And he always did it before, and he will always do it. He's always going to be here. There is no end to him. There's an end to us, there's no end to him. So when you say the name, what you're supposed to think in your mind, you don't say these words out loud, but you think, Adon Olam, Aya Hoveh Ve'yeh. Master of the world, was, is, and will be. That's every time you say that name. That alone, first of all, it makes you have a whole lot more kavana when you're saying his name. It increases the amount of time that your prayer will take by probably, it could be as much as 50% or 20%, depending on how long it takes you to do Amidah. But the point is that it's going to increase your time, but also it's going to increase the significance of that prayer. Where even if you are in a hurry, it's still going to be a worthwhile prayer. Because every time you said God's name, you thought about who you're talking to. And it's important to do it. It's important to do that. You'll see sometimes certain Sidurim actually have it, in the Amidah part especially, have it next to the word, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, they have it in very, very small print, under it or next to it, what I just told you. There is another thing that a person can do, but that's much more advanced, which is to have a certain name of Hashem visualized with a white fire on top of black fire, but that's B'ezrat Hashem we'll get to when we get to our more advanced Kabbalah classes. But first, let's master the basics, which all are required to do what I just told you. Think about what God is, which is Adon Olam, Aya Hoveh Ve'yeh. That's what you have to do. Every time you say Hashem's name, think about that for a moment. It's a second. It becomes, in the beginning it takes a little while, but after you become used to it, it takes literally a second or two. But it has more, that second or two has a significant meaning. And a lot of significance is added to your prayer. And then little by little you improve it. It's important to do that, because again, if someone is married and every 2 seconds they tell each other I love you, which usually young kids do that to each other, love you, love you, love you 5 billion times a minute. You know what ends up happening? It loses its value. It loses its value. They say I love you, but they don't really mean it. It's like I love you turns into hello. When we say Hashem's name blankly, just say his name without much thought, Chas v'shalom, Hashem's name becomes lesser. So it behooves us to put more into it, more effect into it, more thought into it by thinking about those words that I mentioned to you, and that improves things drastically. And same thing also goes with a relationship. I'm not saying to say I love you less. What I'm saying is think about what you think, why you're saying I love you to your wife, to your husband. It's important for couples to show affection to each other and to tell each other that they care about each other, tell each other they love each other. Especially when things are not necessarily going great. Because sometimes one of the parties or both need to hear it, but it's worthless if you're not thinking about those words. If that just becomes just empty words, So just like your marriage requires the words to have meaning, so does your marriage to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It requires you to have the meaning to those words. Next one.
A follow up to this one. We are people, like visual. We want visual. Especially sometimes, you see different things like kings and angels with different images, and even when you're thinking, sometimes you might be thinking, we want to represent for some reason God to something, whether a king or something.
A king, a lion, a wind. I understand. I get it.
So how do you erase that? How do you,
to give God an image is not good. That's why you're not supposed to look at the sky. Sometimes people like to go outside and pray outside, and when they say God's name, they want to look at the sky. There's a mistake. It's if you don't know how to what's allowed and what's not allowed, looking at the sky and thinking that you're going to see something or something like that, it's not a good idea. You're going to see some tzaddikim looking at the sky, but they're not thinking the same thing you're thinking. It's human nature since the beginning of time to try to humanize God, to give him an image, to give him some type of likeness to us. It's human nature. That's part of the reason of why idolatry is what it is, whether it be idolatry from Christianity, Catholicism, or all of the other religions. They've constantly humanized God, generation after generation, and it's not going to stop anytime soon until HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts a stop to all of it. Now, for us, though, we're obviously not allowed to do it, even more so than they're not allowed to do it. So what a person needs to do is look at his siddur and look at the words and look at the name of Hashem. So if you want to look at something or visualize something, visualize the name of Hashem. Not that that's Hashem. Hashem doesn't look like letters. But that's his billboard. Where you know that if you have a billboard that says Hashem, that's his house. That's if I want Hashem, that's where I go. You're on a highway, you're going on a road trip cross country. What do you look forward to? These giant signs they have on the highways. Why? Because that's going to tell you if you're going in the right direction or not. And once it gets to welcome to such and such, you're as excited as can be. Why? Because you know that this is where you need to be. This is where you want to be. And in essence, the Yud K Vav K is that representation, if you will, where you're going to the right destination, you're going to the right place. It's not that that's God, it's not that what God looks like. But when Kabbalists, for example, they do all of their different prayers and special prayers, and sometimes you see all of these short 2-letter names everywhere, or on Friday on your Siddur, you say Ana Bekoach, it says 3 letters at the end of each verse, which is, by the way, the acronym for those words. It's the first letter of each one of those words. But those letters, you're not allowed to say them. But you have to think those letters. Because those are special names. Those are special names. You think of them, you picture them in your mind. You picture them in your mind. That's what a kavanah means. When you have kavanah, you picture this, you have a mental picture of those letters. Same thing with the Shem Hashem. You have the kavanah where you're having a mental picture of those letters. And one of the Kabbalistic things Not that I'm going to start teaching you guys Kabbalah or that I even know it, but this little bit could help, is that they visualize these names with added visual, where it's a white fire on black fire, where the letters are a white fire and then there's a black fire behind it, if you will, or vice versa. So it's not just the kavanah of the image of those letters, but it's those letters in a specific color. That also has a significance. Point being is, I can tell you this. I tried doing this in the beginning. I mean, it's, if you're really doing it, I mean, it's, your prayer is a new high, but it becomes an hour and a half to do Amidah. It's so not necessarily everybody in the world has that kind of luxury of time to pray for regular Amidah. People want to finish it within less than 10 minutes. You tell them, okay, now your Amidah is going to turn to an hour and a half. It's okay, when are you going to work? When are you going to eat? When are you going to learn? So, there's a little easier things to do, and you should definitely start with those anyway, which is what I just said. Adon Olam, Ayahu Ve'viyeh. This is, there's a few other words you could add also, but the point is that these words that I'm mentioning to you, you think them, you don't say them. You only say the words of the prayer. But the words that I'm telling you, think them. You think those words. And you go from there. Next. Yes?
And doing business and selling goods, let's say, and before there are always speak about how sometimes people will return things and pass it as so what's the criteria really to say it's used? Like, you sell something, the person never used it, or they see it, they don't like it, and they return it. Is that item
used? No, it's not considered used. No, used is what really means used, meaning the person actually used it. They once a person bought something, they let's say a woman bought a dress, and $5,000 dress. She wore it to the wedding. Okay, thank you very much. But she's not going to wear that dress anymore. She returns it. She's a thief. She's a thief. Why? Because everyone knows, number one, you don't wear those dresses every day. The use of that dress is, in essence, a once in a blue moon type of thing. So once you've worn it already once, it's considered used. Meaning you wore it to an event, you got it dirty, you did something with it. People for some reason think as long as the receipt is on it, it's not used. It's nonsense. You wore it to an event, you got your sweat on it, you've used it, and everyone knows that if another customer knew that you wore it to an event, they would not pay full price for it. That's considered used. If you return it expecting full refund, as if it's a new product, you're a thief. On the other hand, if, let's say, for example, you tried something on, which, many people try something on. This is the nature of the business of apparel. You try things on. That does not make it used. You try it on to see if it fits. It doesn't fit. You like the way it looks. Doesn't looks. That's not a problem. But if you've actually used it, you wore it to the day or whatever, yeah, then it's used. If so, that's one thing. When different things have different levels of what's used and what's not used, but also stores have their own metrics of what's considered used and what's not considered used. In reality, everyone has that inner conscience that tells them what's right and wrong to do. Where that if you're, let's say, the owner of the company, or you're one of the employees, and you got a customer return a product to you, within a minute, if this product is used. If you're an expert in the business, within a minute, if it's used. If it has deodorant on it, if something's broken, if something is scratched, if something has a little wear and tear because you already had it for a couple of weeks, it's used. So if that means if you have to rehash it, you have to start cleaning it and fixing it in order for it to look new, you're selling a used product. You're selling a used product. If you don't have to do anything other than repackage it, then it's brand new. But once you start having to put work into it to make it look new, then you obviously are a criminal. You're a criminal. But if it's just repackaging it, no, repackaging doesn't make the product new. So that's the thing. There's a entire industry that was enormous back in the day. I mean, it still exists today. That many thieves made tens of millions of dollars in some cases even hundreds of millions of dollars, where they would buy refurbished computers and televisions and cameras, which are in essence electronic products that people buy, and then those products break for some reason or another. Either they break physically or there's a software issue, whatever it is. So since they have a warranty, they return it to the company. The company is more inclined to just give you a brand new product than fix that one. So they just give the guy a brand new camera or a brand new TV or so on. But then what happens with that product they return? They don't want to just throw it out. That's a complete money loss. So what do? They give it to a special department to refurbish that product, fix it, and make it as if it's new. But they can't sell it as new. It's illegal because it's still parts that were used. So now they have to sell it as refurbished. Now the price is significantly lower, but nonetheless it has a value though. It still has value instead of being completely lost by throwing it out. So what thieves would do, and unfortunately still do to this day, is they would buy truckloads and container loads of refurbished products, refurbished computers and TVs and so on, and then have an entire team of people take out all of the indications that this product is refurbished. Because although it's refurbished, the average person can't tell, because it looks brand new. You know, they fixed all the scratches, they fixed everything. Like, it looks brand new, like you can't tell. The only thing that's different is the packaging usually. So they would buy brand new packaging and put it in a brand new box. And they would take out the stickers that say refurbished and put a brand new sticker, and do all types of things to make this look like a brand new. So they would invest literally a few dollars and sell this refurbished product as brand new and make a fortune out of it. Because now, instead of selling it for, let's say, $300, they can now sell it for $900 by investing $5 into it. You understand? This is gezel. This is stealing, 100%. Unfortunately, it exists today. It was much, much bigger. There was a huge company called Crazy Eddie, where they were the pioneer in this robbery. And but as I said, once you get acclimated to making a certain crime, you start becoming numb to crime altogether. And what ended up being happening with Crazy Eddie wasn't that they were caught for what I just said, even though many of the followers of Crazy Eddie's strategy, they ended up getting caught for this, and some of them went to jail, some of them got fined millions of dollars and so on. But Crazy Eddie didn't get caught for this. What did he get caught for? Insider trading and accounting fraud. Accounting fraud, they would cheat, they were cooking the books. I actually met the CFO of the company that was the one actually cooking the books. The whole thing was a big chaos. This is almost 40 years ago, 30-something years ago. And the guy that was running it went to jail and lost everything. But it wasn't for the crime that I just told you. It was for something completely different. Why? Because he got numb. He got numb to crime. He got greedy. 100 million wasn't enough, so he wanted a billion. Billion wasn't enough. He wanted, and he started doing much, much worse, and eventually got himself to much deeper trouble. If he was going to be caught for that, what I just told you, he would have still had his money, and probably wouldn't have done any jail time. But because he went to the next, the red line kept getting further and further, and eventually he became just an outright criminal that cost people a fortune. Next. Yes.
Two quick questions. Hopefully they're quick. What's the implication with someone like a Joe, like you were saying earlier, some more, say we should not even, give interest. We should not even give interest to a boy.
Yes.
That may lead to what you just said.
Right.
Now, what's the implication if, like, let's say, Sadiq, a Jew that's a righteous Jew,
right,
knows that the halakha you can lend to a goy to going.
Right.
He's doing that, just that. Is most people, like you say, are the people he lends to are going, and then for some reason, because usually, especially in this era where things happen online, you don't know people personally, so you don't know whether or not, but this is for, you would look at names and think, okay, that's what going, whatever that may be.
Right, no.
But one of these going somehow converted to Judaism, now becomes a Jew, and you don't know that, or whoever is doing that does not know. So what's the implication now? Whatever money.
Okay. So let's say, for example, you lend money to a goy. You lend money to a goy, and that goy converted to Judaism.
Yes.
That's a very interesting question. It's a little bit of a problem. It's a little bit of a problem. Now, everything that you've charged that goy while he was a goy is allowed. It's allowed as long as it's ethical, as long as it's within industry norms. It's allowed. Now, these cash advance businesses that we've spoken against and exposed over the last year or so, that's completely forbidden because they pretty much, murder people. They, charge people 40, 50, 500%, crazy, ridiculous numbers. Like one guy thought he was giving, he was a tzaddik because he was only charging 40%. This is complete highway robbery. This is forbidden completely for goyim or for Jews. But if you're charging industry norms, which is, 5%, 10%, even 15%, whatever is allowed legally, for a normal bank to charge, then you're doing that to a goy. That's allowed. It's not recommended, but it's allowed. And Shlomo HaMelech and David HaMelech write Tehillim on it and in Proverbs that a person that's in that business will never see bracha. Their money will not be blessed. Hashem will eventually take all that money and give it to someone that helps poor people. But anyway, if you did it, it's not a sin, but it's not a business that Hashem likes. So now, if a person does this ethically, he lends money. There's a need for that business. People need to borrow money for certain things, and he does it, and he's an ethical person. And he charges normal rates, and so on. And the non-Jew that is borrowing from him converts to Judaism. Everything that he's charged him thus far is allowed. As far as what he charges him moving forward, if he doesn't know, then it's not. He cannot be held accountable for it. If he does know, he has a little bit of an issue, because it's just like you are allowed to charge a Jew that violates Shabbat openly interest. If a Jew drives on Shabbat, you are allowed to charge him interest. Why? Because a Jew that drives on Shabbat and desecrates Shabbat on a regular basis, according to halacha, he's considered 100% an idol worshiper. So the halacha says that you are allowed to charge such a person interest. Even Rabbi Ovadia is on record. There's a video I have. I've sent several people. He says, Jew that violates Shabbat, you're allowed to charge him interest. There's no problem with it. But you shouldn't. Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you charge him interest? Because maybe he's going to do Teshuvah. And if he does Teshuvah, you have a problem. You have a problem. It's not just a problem of you can't charge him interest moving forward. There's a possibility you may have to return the money that you've charged him. Where are you going to get the money from? Best to just stay away from it. Don't charge anybody. Don't charge him interest. Don't charge him interest. Why? Because again, you're putting yourself in a pickle. You're putting yourself in it. So a Jew that is converted, I don't know the exact details of what you would actually have to happen, but I'm sure it's in that line where everything you've charged is, thus far is okay, much easier than the situation with a Jew that was just violating Shabbat, because you already know he was a Jew from the start. So everything that you charged him as a goy is allowed. There is no teshuvah for the goy or anything. But as far as moving forward as a Jew, now that he converted, it could be problematic. It could be problematic. But again, it's the responsibility of the convert to tell the person. It's the responsibility of the convert to tell the person that he converted. But it would have to go to a posek to see what could take place. Whether they would have to change the terms of the deal or sell the loan to a goy, you'd have to refinance the loan and do something else with it. Keeping it with nothing, I don't think is a good idea. Probably have to sell the loan. Probably have to sell the loan to somebody else, just to keep your hands clean. Which again is one of the reasons why it says you just simply shouldn't be in that business. Shouldn't be in that business of lending money to people with interest. It's not a although it seems like this is a very necessary business, the world can go on without it. It doesn't necessarily need to be this way. But people do it. Next.
Thinking about the moment now, what's happening in the world right now, that could have happened at any given time. It could be the summer, the winter.
Okay.
For some reason, it's happening now. And by the same token, we have this portion that comes right into me that
Tazria, Sarat, yes, LaShon HaRa.
Technically, so he has to do. Forget the word. So he has to do with something. Has to do with us right now.
Yes.
So right now, because we have all synagogues, you can't, people can't meet. All these things going on. So what is the line between LaShon and LaShon HaRa? Sometimes you might be talking about someone not with the intent of degrading or saying you may know something you just related to someone just so. Sometimes it may not even affect the person, may not even have a problem with whatever you're saying.
Right.
So what is the line?
What's the line?
What's the line?
The details of LaShon HaRa are very, very extensive and very wide, because LaShon HaRa is not just what people think. Really, the overall subject of speech is constantly categorized as LaShon HaRa, but it's not just LaShon HaRa. Generally speaking, there's a few things you should know. Number one, it's never a good idea to speak about people, unless these people are people you're trying to warn somebody about, because then you're warning people. So if, let's say, someone is a murderer, spiritual or physical murderer, and you're going to tell people, listen, stay away from this person, he's a murderer, that's an obligation that you have to do because you're saving them from risk. But if the person is not such a person, he's just perhaps somebody you don't like, or maybe he is somebody you like, but he's just a person. Generally speaking, it's better not to talk about people unless what you're talking about is in order to help them. So it's either to help somebody else by warning them from such a person because they are a confirmed risk, they are a confirmed danger, or it's to help that person that you're talking about. So for example, you have somebody that is doing something bad in your life, and you want the rabbi to help him. So in order for the rabbi to help him, he has to know all these details. You are allowed to tell the rabbi all of those details. Why? Because you are telling the rabbi not in order to insult this person, not to bring shame to this person, but rather to help him. Tell him, listen, rabbi, this guy's cheating on his wife. This guy's cheating on his clients. This guy's doing this. This guy's doing that. You're in essence exposing him, but you're exposing him for his own benefit. He's a drug dealer. He's a drug addict. He's this. He's that. So the rabbi now knows this, and you told him this information, but it's in order to help him. In essence, you're giving the rabbi the information that your friend, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your loved one, whoever this person is, he's sick because the rabbi has the cure. So that is good. Or perhaps your wife tells you about one of your kids. Oh, the kid is doing such and such. Well, it's LaShon HaRa. Yeah, technically it is, but it's allowed. Why? Because she's telling you because it's productive. It's something that's in order to help the person, help the child, help the friend, help the spouse, and so on. So if it's a speech in order to help a person by warning him from danger, or help a person that he himself is in danger, he just may not realize it even, and you're telling somebody that could help him, that's allowed. That's allowed. But to just generally speak about people without any type of benefit to those parties is a problem. The second thing is, when it comes to speech in general, if a person is not careful with their speech, their sin of misspeaking is not going to only be, thank you. Oh, there you go. It's not only going to be just LaShon HaRa, it's going to be many, many other things. Now, the third gate of Sha'arei Teshuvah has an entire section about forbidden speech and different types of people that are a danger to society, are a danger to themselves. They get punished severely in this world, and many of them actually lose Olam HaBa. Now, when we think of someone that says something that's forbidden, we're thinking of someone that said something bad. You're making fun of somebody. You are, insulting someone. That's what we think about when we're thinking about this is bad. But what about if I compliment you a whole lot? The average person would say, wow, that makes you a really nice person. That's not a sin. Well, news. That could be not only a sin, but a sin so grave, a person that is doing it, that's speaking, giving compliments, could lose Olam HaBa. Why? It depends who you're speaking about. So, Rabbi Yonah says the following. He says there is a certain section of people that are not only a danger to themselves, but they're a danger to society, and they get a punishment that is very, very severe. Severe to the extent where they can lose Olam HaBa. What is this? Kat achanfanim. The class of flatterers. People that are flatterers. And he says the subject of flatterers is deep, and there's 9 different types, 9 categories, 9 different types of flatterers. Not all built the same, are the same. The first category is a flatterer, someone that says, Chazaku Baruch, Tzaddik, you're the best, you're amazing, constantly gives compliments to people. Why should this be bad? This should be, wow, this guy is a fantastic human being, he loves everyone. What a tzaddik he is, he loves everyone. Rabbi Yonah says, absolutely not. The class of flatterers who recognizes or sees or knows that his fellow is tainted with sin and embraces deceit, or that he sins through LaShon HaRa himself and verbal abuse, but still decides to smooth talk him with an evil tongue and says, you have committed no wrong. Not only has the flatterer committed the transgression of withholding the rebuke, the reproof from him, as the pasuk says, that you must rebuke your fellow man and do not bear a sin because of him, but he also further sinned by saying, you have not sinned. As the pasuk says in Jeremiah 23:14, they have strengthened the hand of the evildoers. They've strengthened the hand of the reshaim, the people that are doing bad, by telling them, no, what you're doing is not bad. No, your business is kosher. You what? You donate 20%, right, from the cash advance business? You're a tzaddik. You're good. It's allowed. There's no one tzaddik. I wish I had 1,000,000 tzaddikim like you doing cash advance, robbing the goyim. That rabbi that gave their tail to the guy doing the illegal business. That rabbi that gave their tail to the guy that's driving on Shabbat because he donates a lot of money. That rabbi that told him, no, you're a good guy, you're a tzaddik. Well, he knows he drives on Shabbat. He knows he cheats on his wife. He knows he cheats in business. He knows. But he tells him he's a good guy. He tells him he's a righteous person. He's not doing anything wrong. Rabbi Yonah says you're worse than him. Not only did you not rebuke, but you actually gave him strength to continue sinning. So now, not only does he not think he's making a mistake, but he actually thinks that what he's doing is a mitzvah. No, I'm providing a service to the public, Rabbi. They need money. I'm providing it to them. They can't get it anywhere else. Let them not get it anywhere else then. It's better if they don't get it from anywhere else than get it from you that you're robbing them. Now, Such a flatterer, Rabbeinu Yonah continues and says, this is a serious transgression in the hand of the foolish flatterer. For he is not zealous for the truth, but abets falsehood, declares evil to be good, making light into darkness. He also places a pitfall before the sinner from two vantage points. First, as a result of this, the sinner does not regret his evil, because you told him he's doing good, he's not doing mistakes, he doesn't regret it. So that's already the first, that's the critical step number 3 of Teshuvah. Without regret, there's no Teshuvah. You could stop the sin, but if you don't get to the level of regret, it's not complete Teshuvah. So how is the guy going to regret what he's doing if you tell him he's doing okay? He's never going to get to regret. Meaning he's never going to complete Teshuvah. You're simply taking Olam HaBa from this person and throwing it in the garbage. That's the first crime only. That's just the first crime. And second, he repeats his foolishness the next day, since the wicked flatterer has praised him in his heart's desire. This guy will continue sinning. He not only telling him he's doing good, so he's okay with everything, all the skeletons that he buried, but he's going to continue doing it. There's no reason for him to change. You told him he's doing fine. Besides this, he will bear punishment for the harm he caused to the person whom the sinner wronged, by justifying the one who sinned against him. All of his victims, all the people he steals money from, he overcharges them, he lies to them, cheats them, all of their suffering will come on to that person that told him everything's okay. That rabbi told him, you're a tzaddik, all of that goes on him also. All of this guy's victims, your students' victims, all of that goes on that person also. All of their suffering, well, he'll get punished for it. He becomes an owner of the business without getting any of the financial benefit. He gets all the sins from the benefits, from the business. All the sins. But I only told him once. Once is more than enough. And Rabbeinu Yonah says he'll bear the punishment for the harm he caused to the person whom the sinner wronged by justifying the one that sinned against him. And aside from that, he will be punished for his false words. The fact that he lied, that's another sin. As it says in Tehillim, you will destroy speakers of deceit. All these fake speakers, all of these people that are telling people everything's okay, you don't have to change, Hashem owes you, Hashem needs to please you, like all these Hashem we keep talking against, the Friedman, the Drolls, all these fakers. David HaMelech says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a promise in the Torah. What? You will destroy speakers of deceit. All of these liars, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take them personally. One-on-one, he's going to destroy them. He's not even going to send a malach. He's not going to send a malach like Amalek. That's what the Torah tells us. People like this, Machtiyah Rabim, they Amalek. HaKadosh Baruch Hu would take revenge against these people personally. That's what David HaMelech is telling us here. And Rabbeinu Yonah is quoting him. And also says his son in Mishlei, one who justifies an evildoer and he who condemns a righteous person, both are an abomination of Hashem. Because people that are justifying the Reshaim, telling them that all these people, everybody's okay, everyone's a Tinok Shenishba, they continue sinning, Hashem is going to give everyone Gan Eden, the Rebbe is going to save them, this one's going to save them, all that nonsense. Not only they're removing people's desire to do Teshuvah, and they're telling the people that are doing wrong against Hashem, he's justifying it, but what happens with those people? Those people also end up condemning the righteous people that say the truth. He's too strict, this guy. He keeps saying you can't drive on Shabbat. What is he talking about? He's fanatic. He's extreme. I don't agree with you. What agree with me? Why, I wrote this? But that's what happens, because those Reshaim, not only they tell people that they're fine, but they also cause them to hate the truth. They cause them to hate the truth. This applies even more so if the sin of his fellow man is public knowledge. For when the flatterer says to him before others, "You're pure without any sin," he has now desecrated and demeaned both the law and justice. Chilel bazadat vadin. Person now tells people, you have a big knesset, everyone knows this guy drives on Shabbat. But he says, here's the tzaddik, here's the tzaddik, everyone. Gives the guy kavod in front of everyone. This guy not only made the sins in the beginning, but now he did it in front of everyone. What he's got waiting for him. What he's got waiting for him. And this is, Rabotai, the best case scenario. It gets worse after this. In the next section, 188, Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil, he says a person must expose himself to danger rather than bear upon him his soul the sin of such transgression. He says it's better you jump into a fire, you jump into a volcano, than do what we just talked about. Go jump off a bridge. Give yourself coronavirus. Then go and be a flatterer. Tell people things that in reality you know is a lie. You know it's a lie. You know the guy's a Mechalel Shem Hashem B'Faresia on a regular basis. Goes against Hashem regularly. On purpose. No, I don't care. I don't care. He knows now to drive on Shabbat. No, but I live really far. Okay, so go to a different Beit Knesset. No, but there's no Beit Knesset, so move. No, but what do I do until I move? Fine or rental. I don't know what to tell you. Don't go. Point is, you can't drive on Shabbat. No, but the rabbi says it's okay. Okay, the rabbi has a very nice villa in Gehenom. With you together, both of you guys. Thanksgiving every day. Rabbeinu Yonah says it's better that a person expose himself to danger than be such a flatterer. And he mamash goes all out over here, tells people how horrible it is to be a flatterer. The second category of flatterer is a person who praises an evildoer in front of others, whether or not he's present, not by justifying the sinner's larceny or denying his accountability. Like, he doesn't say that what he's doing is right. He's not that guy. He's not saying, no, he's a tzaddik, his business is needed, he's a good guy. No. He says, no, this guy's worse, though. What does he do? What does this guy do? He doesn't even deny that this guy's a thief. He doesn't deny this guy's a thief. He doesn't deny this guy's a Mechal Shabbat. But what does he say? He says that he's a good person. Yeah, I know he drives on Shabbat, and he's married to a Goya, and he steals some people, and he has a few bodies buried in his backyard, but he's such a good guy, though. Rabbeinu Yonah says, this person is even worse than the one we just talked about. Calling this person a good person is a sin. Worse than everything we just talked about. Meaning, next Mador in Gehenom. Calling him a good person. Why? What's wrong with it? There's a lot wrong with it. Why is a lot wrong with it? It says the Pasuk says in Mishle 28:4, those who forsake the Torah praise the wicked. For had he not forsaken the Torah, he would not have praised one who violates its words and abrogates its mitzvot. If you give praises to Reshaim, that means you're Rasha yourself. That means you're Rasha yourself. And that's what the Radak says in the commentary on Parashat Korach. Parashat Korach says people are saying, yeah, but this guy's Rasha. No, the people that supported him. Why do all the people that supported Korach also get punished? Is they're worse than him. Why? They supported him. And anyone that supports a Rasha is worse than the Rasha himself. Why? Radak says because the one that supports the Rasha by saying Chazaku Baruch, you're okay, everything's okay, he gives him power because in essence, this guy wouldn't continue if it wasn't for the support you would give him. There's a small chance he wouldn't continue just because he's not getting support. He knows people don't like him. But the fact that you like him, that's enough reason for him to continue. And calling him a good person is a form of support. No, but he's got Jewish heart. The dog has a Jewish heart too. Jewish heart. What's Jewish heart? Do Teshuvah. Do Teshuvah. That's what Jewish heart is. Jewish heart is does Teshuvah. Not continue sinning with your support. How's he going to do Teshuvah? If you really cared about his Jewish heart, you tell him to do Teshuvah. So here he says, even if he only praises the evildoer for the good that he possesses, speaking well of him to others regarding his upright qualities, this too is a sickly evil. He says, it's not even that he says he's a good person. He simply compliments something that he does. Yeah, but he's very good at his job. Not allowed. No form of compliment is allowed to be given to Rasha. Yeah, but he built that building. He donated to that thing. Not allowed. Not allowed to compliment this person in public. Not allowed. Why? He's a person that violates Hashem's name on a regular basis.
What if it's a parent?
Who says you have to compliment them in public?
Not in public.
Compliment the person, but the parent to themselves, that's a different story. What's the goal? What's the reason? We're talking about here that he's doing it in public. He's doing it in front of other people. Because in essence, that speech is not for the sake of that person anymore. It's you're telling other people he's a good person. So now they're going to rely on that information and use it for whatever else. They say, oh, he's good at building, I'm going to use him for building. He's good at looking, I'm going to use him for looking. He's good at eating, I'm going to use him for... In essence, you're giving him, you're this testimony, you're his credibility, you're vouching for him that he's good at something. He may be horrible, murderer, and all of these other things, but he's good at this. You vouch for him? No good. But as far as complimenting a parent, you're not doing it to strange people. You complimented the parent to their face. What value does complimenting a parent to some stranger? What are you going to do? Say, oh, I want you to be my parent also? I mean, you can say, I have good parents, or just simply not say anything bad. But the point is that this one thing has a very clear difference here, is that here, he's saying is that even if the person that you're talking about is not there, and you're talking about it to other people, which means that it's the words and how they affect the other people, not that person himself, not the Rasha himself. It's how your words will be utilized by these other people, because now they think he's good. Now they think he's generous. Now they think he's something. So a person has to be very, very careful. Like I said, you have to choose your words very carefully when you are speaking about other people. Now, sometimes you have a situation where it's uncomfortable. Somebody puts you on the spot. And he says, is he good at what he does? And the guy is right there. And the guy is right there. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's not good at his job. Not that he's a thief. He's not a thief. He's not like takes money from people and he doesn't do the job. But he's not good. Why? You hired him one time, and instead of building you a kitchen, he built your bathroom. So he's not good. But somebody put you on a spot and he's right next to it. What are you going to do? You have to tell the guy, and you have to get yourself out of this situation. Where you have to tell the guy, you have to judge yourself. It all depends on what you need. I'm not exactly the expert. I'm not the expert. But that's assuming he's not a bad person. He's just not necessarily good at his job. But if he's a bad person, if he's dangerous, you have to warn the guy. You have to tell him outright. No, don't use him. Don't use him. He's a rasha. He's a thief. If the person is intentionally wicked, you have to warn people. But if he's just not good, it's different. You can tell people you got to be judged, you got this, that. I don't necessarily have the same needs as you. I don't have the same tastes as you, and so on. But again, don't lie about what you got. Listen, I got a bathroom instead of if he asks you specifics. But try to get yourself to not be the cause of loss. But at the same token, don't lie. But But if he's a wicked person, he's dangerous to society, you must warn people. Must warn people. And he continues and he goes on, and it's one of the interesting parts is that in section 190, he starts off by saying, Tzadikim yit'avu et harasha. Tzadikim despise reshaim. As the pasuk says in Mishlei, in Proverbs 29:27, Toevat tzadikim ish avil. A man of iniquity, a sinner, is an abomination to the tzadikim. Tzadikim, they hate reshaim. We're not talking about reshaim that don't even know they're reshaim. Not talking about this guy grew up in a kibbutz, he doesn't even know what Shabbat is, bichlal. He thought it's like a table. We're talking about people that know, people that go to Beit Knesset, but they drive 20 years already. They have unethical businesses, and they know it's unethical. It's not like somebody's cheating them. They're bad people. Tzaddikim hate such people. One who is not a member of the tzaddikim, even if he does not despise and curse the wicked, at least he should not bless them. Even if you're not a tzaddik, and you're not at such a high level that you hate the Reshaim, you actually have to be at a high level to hate Reshaim. Because you have to first of all know who's a Rasha. Sometimes you're the Rasha, but you hate other people, call them Rasha. So first of all, you have to be at a certain level to hate the Reshaim, because you hate them for the sake of Hashem, not for the sake of you. You're not hating them because they're making fun of you. You don't care if people make fun of you. You hate them because they're making fun of Hashem. They're desecrating Hashem's name. It has nothing to do with you. If they insult you personally, don't even respond. If they insult you personally, you don't respond at all. You know how many times people have made videos about me? You never heard about it. Why? It's about me. They just call me names for no reason. You're never going to hear their names. Why? I don't really care. But if somebody desecrates Hashem's name, even if he doesn't know I exist, I'm going to make sure he knows now. Why? I'm going to make sure everybody knows that he's a Rasha. Why? It's about Hashem. And even if you're not a tzaddik, you try to be a tzaddik. But if you're not even a tzaddik, and you're not even trying to be a tzaddik, you're not even trying to hate the wicked, Rabbi Yaron says, at least don't praise the wicked. Don't compliment them. Why? Because you start complimenting, you become a Rasha yourself. And he continues at the third level, and I mean this is 9 levels, it's a whole series. Point being, Rabotai, is a person needs to be very, very careful with speaking about people in general, good or bad, because it's not just about speaking about LaShon HaRa, it's even things like flattering. You have to put so much thought into the words that come out of your mouth. It explains us why the tzaddikim don't speak very much if it's not divrei Torah. They just simply don't speak much if it's not divrei chokhmah. If it's not words of wisdom, they just don't speak. Why? Because they know that they could potentially fail. And that's where the Gemara says that the mundane conversation of the Chachamim, the students need to learn from. Why? Because even their mundane conversation is divrei Torah. Hence, you need to learn from it. The mundane conversation of the regular people, Shem Yishmo V'Yatzil. So a person needs to be very, very careful with their speech. And it's important for each one of us to take each one of these things in consideration. Now, the next question is, can Hashem judge a thought as an action? As an action? If so, when is the thought an action, and when is an action, when is it not an action? So, if a person thinks about killing somebody, Hashem does not punish him for thinking it, unless he ends up killing him. If he ends up killing him, he punishes him both for thinking it and for doing it. If she thinks something bad about her friend, but she doesn't do anything about it, she doesn't get punished for it. But if she does what she's thinking, she gets punished for both. That's when the thought turns into action. But so long as it's simply a thought, you don't get punished for it. Only if it turns into action. The thoughts of immorality are inappropriate, they're not good. But you don't get punished for them unless you take action. Then you get punished both for the thought and for the action. This is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us, don't waste time. Because boredom leads to sin. Mundane conversations lead to sin. All of these different things, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us many, many mitzvot. Why did he give us so many mitzvot? To constantly keep us busy. Because if we're busy doing mitzvot, we don't have time to make averot. And that's what they're going to ask a person in Shamayim. How did you have time to make averot? There's so many mitzvot to do every day. How did you even have time to make averot? How did you have time to make sins? If a person is truly busy doing mitzvot, he has no time to make sins. Surely everybody sins occasionally, but not the purposeful ones, not the ones that are completely careless. I mean, eventually you get to a point where a lot of the things are just not you don't have time for them. You don't have time to make sins. Why? You're busy doing mitzvot. You're constantly looking for chesed. You're constantly looking for opportunities to help people. You're constantly looking for opportunities to learn. You're constantly looking for opportunities to pray. You're constantly looking for opportunities to connect to Hashem, to His people, to His books, to His this, to His that. You're constantly looking for opportunities to do mitzvot. You don't have time to make averot. When you go up to Shemayim, they tell you, we don't understand. We sent you to the world. Sent you to the world, body, eyes, this, that. You didn't use a single one of them to make any mitzvot. All day averot. How do you even have time? How do you have time to make so many averot? Why don't you use them for the mitzvot? If you just simply did the mitzvot, you wouldn't make averot. You wouldn't make the sins. There's so many mitzvot to do, you shouldn't have time to make sins. That's really what it comes down to. So a person needs to evaluate each one of these things. How do you get to that point? We'll finish off with this long story. It's a story within a story within a story, but it's worth it. If we truly knew, if anyone watches the Shiur from last night, if a person truly knew the value of a mitzvah, he would constantly chase it. The problem is for us is we don't know the value of a mitzvah. We understand punishment because we can relate to it of difficulties that we've endured in our lives. Each person has endured their own difficulty. But the reward part is hard for us to understand. So we understand reward in this world, money, zivug, this, that, but in reality we don't understand why this mitzvah is bigger than the next one, how this reward is bigger than that one. It's hard for us to comprehend. Now, the people that do know much better than us lived the life that showed us how valuable a mitzvah is, that we sometimes don't think is a big deal. The Rav Mibrisk, Rav Soloveitchik, alav shalom, he one time had a etrog for Sukkot that he had a little doubt whether this etrog was really the best etrog or it's a kasher. There's doubt. Good etrog, but he had a doubt of whether it's really a lemon or etrog. So, unlike us, that say, it looks like etrog, it's good. What does he do? He goes and he makes some calls to Morocco. I want you to bring me a etrog from such and such place, doesn't matter what the price, such and such. Special orders an etrog before Sukkot to come to Eretz Yisrael to make sure that he has the best etrog that's for sure, no doubts. Now Rabbi Brisk, the Rav Soloveitchik, he was called the Brisker Rebbe because he was from Brisk. He was machmir on certain things that he was as strict as can possibly be. On Pesach, they say that he would eat like black matzah. Why? Just to make sure that there's not an ounce of anything. He would literally burn his matzah. The matzah he would eat would be something like, you're not even sure if it's matzah. Just to make sure, don't eat chametz. So for him, to fulfill the mitzvah the best way, the highest way, was extraordinary. And for him to have a safek, a doubt on his etrog, was unbearable to him. So he special ordered an etrog from Morocco. But as you would have it, the etrog arrived at customs, and they stopped it there because you're not allowed to transfer fruits and vegetables from country to country unless you have a special license. So they stopped it at customs. He asked Rabbi Shlomo Lawrence, who told this story, all three of them. He was in the story himself, and he was a rabbi, but also part of the government. So the Rabbi Brisk called him and told us, I need a big favor, please, if you can go to customs for me and get, use your connections to the government and so on, to get me my etrog. If there's a fee, there's a cost, no problem, just I need the etrog before Sukkot. So he started on a 2-week mission. Every day calling different people, going to different departments, and like today with cell phones. You have to call, pay phones, this, that, driving to different places. Gets to customs, no, you got to go to that head of department, that head of department, that department, that department. Long story short, after already almost wasting a week into it, you're almost at Sukkot, you have a couple of days away from Sukkot, he said, listen, the only one that can help you is the head of this whole department, this whole, here in Yerushalayim. Oh, okay, great, where can I meet him? Oh no, he's on vacation. Where is on vacation? In Tzfat. 6 hours. Go. Want to meet him? He's on vacation. Rav Lawrence knows how important it is for the Rabbi Brisk to get this etrog. And you don't have everyday opportunities to make the Gdol Ador happy. He drives to Tzfat, finds this guy on vacation. Okay, I need you to help. I need you to release this etrog. He says, listen, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Why you can't help me? It's already, it's already Sukkot. Sukkot already started already. First couple of days of Sukkot. Let's at least get in a Chol HaMoed. Why can't you help me? I can't help you because in order to release this, you're going to have to go to the head of the agricultural department for the entire country. He's the only one that can call a shot on this. Okay, where is he? He's in Yerushalayim. Goes to Yerushalayim. Head of the agriculture had a heart attack. He's not there. Where can I get him? He's in the hospital. Goes to the hospital. How you doing? Everything okay? Can't. Okay, I need you to help me. The Rabbi Brisk, the biggest rabbi in the world, he needs this etrog. Help me out, please. He goes, okay, I'm willing to help you out. There's only a couple of days left to the Chag. I'm willing to help you out, but problem is, I don't have my paperwork here. Where's the paperwork? It's in Tel Aviv. There's no, email it to me. Okay, I'll drive to Tel Aviv. He drives to Tel Aviv. Rabbi Lawrence drives to Tel Aviv. Couple hours. Okay, the paperwork. Back. Okay, put the paperwork in. Sends to the department. It's already the last day. It's the last day of Sukkot. And every so often the Rabbi Brisk calls him, okay, so try your best. Please try your best. At least let me get it to this mitzvah for the last day of Sukkot. Everything is put in, but it never happens. Sukkot is over. Rabbi Lawrence did everything possible. It didn't happen. So at the end of Sukkot, at the night, he comes to Rabbi Brisk, comes to his house, and he sees the Rabbi Brisk laughing and singing, happy as can possibly be. He says, Kvod Rav, you got the etrog? He says, no, of course not. So how could the Rav be so happy? I mean, we worked so hard to get it, all these calls, all this, that, 2 weeks almost. Trying to get this etrog. I thought the Rav would be upset. Rabbi Brisk says, when it's not possible, it's not possible. Rav Lawrence says, what? I mean, with all due respect for the Rav, Gdol Ador, that's all you have to say? When it's not possible, it's not possible? He says, let me tell you a story. Story number 2. He says, when I was in Brisk, a Talmid Chacham came to me and asked me to do him a favor. What's the favor? Speak to his old mother, who lives in our hometown, in a hut, practically a garbage pail, by herself, she's old, and to convince her to move to Brisk, to stay with our son, much better place, he'll take care of her with his wife, and so on. Why is she alone, so old, and not exactly such a good situation? He says, Kvod Rav, it's mamash like pikuach nefesh. Please, if the Rav, the Gdol Adot, tells my mom that she has to do it halachically, she'll do it. He says, no problem, I'll talk to her, you're right, I'll talk to your mother. The mother comes to town, and the Rabbi Brisk goes to her and meets her, this old woman. He says, why don't you move to your son's house? Such a good boy you have, Talmid Chacham, his wife loves you, kids love you. Why stay by yourself? The old woman says to him, Kvod Rav, I'll do anything you say. Just don't tell me that I have to move, please. Anything else you tell me to do, I'll do. You're a giant. We're Anshe Torah, where we keep Torah. Love Torah. But please, Kvod Rav, don't tell me that I have to move, please. So Rabbi Brisk says, what do you have there that's so that's keeping you there? I mean, your son's over here. It's clearly better conditions. What do you have over there that you're staying there? What are you staying there for? He says, Kvod Rav, let me tell you a story. Story number 3. He says, Kvod Rav, my husband and I were always poor. Poor, not poor like today, like you only make $500 a week, people think they're poor. Poor, Rabotai, we're talking about poor. Poor like there is one egg for 6 people. My husband and I have always been poor. So poor that for Sukkot, we were not able to afford to buy the 4 minim. Never. No money to buy a trog, no buy the lulav, no money to buy that. But b'siyat dishmai, we love the mitzvot so much that HaKadosh Baruch Hu always made a miracle that my husband was always able to borrow it to make the mitzvah during the Chag. Just to make the mitzvah, not to own it, just to make the mitzvah. One day, my dear husband comes to me. He says, why don't we start saving that maybe one day we will have the 4 minim for Sukkot. From the 2 pennies we make, we'll put a half of a quarter of a penny aside every so often and save over a period of time until we can buy it. They were so poor, Rabotai, they saved for 30 years. 30 years they saved to what? To finally come up with money to buy the 4 minim one time. After 30 years, they saved the money. Excited as can be, Ishtabach Shimo Lahad. He comes to the guy, says, I want 4 minim. He gives him 30-year-old money. The guy tells him, I'm sorry, with this money you cannot even buy one of them. Not 4, you can't buy 1. He comes back home, down. Well, I guess it's not going to be. The wife, there was a tzadikah kdosha, says to him, my dear husband, we're getting old. We must have the opportunity to fulfill this mitzvah. Yeah, but we don't have it. We saved for 30 years. She says, let's sell the house. Let's sell the house. We don't need this house. Let's sell the house and buy 4 minim with this house. And we can live in a little hut. You live in a little garbage pail practically. Piece of metal, 4 pieces of metal, 1 tiny little room. That's all we need. Why would mitzvah? And the husband says, you sure you can do it? Because of course, we have to do this mitzvah. They go, they sell the house, they get the money. He comes back to the guy, he says, I want you to buy me the best possible etrog, lulav, everything. Now you got a decent amount of money. Wow, that's a lot of money, a house. The guy goes, makes extra journey, this, that, the other thing. He gets him something out of this world. It's such a good etrog, such a good, everything is so good, the whole city finds out about it. Day before Sukkot, Everybody finds out about this etrog, this lulav. Please, please, can we see it? Now they live in a little hut. Can we see this beautiful etrog that you have? Such a special, unique, one of a kind. Can we see it? Yes, of course, of course. This is, why not? And they start seeing it. Wow, wow, wow. And he gives to the next guy. Wow, wow, I've never seen such a thing. Wow, 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 wow. Puck! Falls out of their hand right on the top and breaks the etrog. Meaning that they cannot even do the mitzvah even one time. It's not a kosher etrog. If it's not a kosher etrog, if it breaks on the first day, after the first day, you could technically still use it for the second day. But if it's not kosher, you can't use it on the first day. What can you do? Cry? I would cry. What did he do, this tzaddik? What did his wife do, his tzaddikah? He says to his wife, when it's not possible, it's not possible. We saved for 30 years. It wasn't possible, wasn't enough money. So, my tzaddikah wife, you sold the house. You sold the house for this mitzvah. We got it. And it broke. Which shows us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu already signed in heaven not to do. That's it. This is what He wants. We did the utmost. We did everything humanly possible to fulfill this mitzvah. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for His own amazing reasons, justifiable reasons that we may never know, He decided no. But we did everything, Baruch Hashem. Now back to story number 2. The old woman says to the Rav Mibris, Kvod Harav, every single day, I walk right by that house that was sold for the mitzvah of an etrog. 30 years of savings, all of the money sold for an etrog, the etrog that was never used. I look at that house every single day and it gives me life. It gives me life to see this. When are you going to see such a holy house? When are you going to see such a holy house that was sold for the sake of a mitzvah? When are you going to see such a house? And it was my house that was sold. And you want me to leave such a house? You want me to leave such a mitzvah? Rav Mibris says, you're right. When you can't do it, you can't do it, he tells his son. When you can't do it, you can't do it. Rabotai Yekarim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us, you can do it. You can do it. Not that you can achieve all of your mitzvot, become the biggest Talmid Chacham in the world, get the whole world to do Teshuvah, you will become, no. What you could do, you could try your best. That's what Teshuvah is. Teshuvah is trying your utmost, trying your best to do every single mitzvah. If a person tries his best, he learns from Parashat Tezriah. He could change Sarat to complete health. If he tries his best, he could turn around the entire situation in a matter of 24 hours. Stage 4 cancer, he could turn it around to completely healthy. If you try your utmost. If you don't try your utmost, what are you complaining about? But if you tried your utmost and still didn't succeed, don't be upset. Your schar, your reward is going to be HaRa. Why? Because you did your job. You tried your best. And if it's not possible, it's not possible. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided what the outcome is. The outcome is not in your hands. The outcome is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's in your hands is to try your best. Rabotai Karim, the whole goal of every single session that we learn together is to try to motivate myself, and hopefully you too, to try our best. That's the goal. That's Teshuvah. Try your best. You know what your best is. And of course, Hashem knows what your best is. And that's what He judges us on. He doesn't judge us on what we can't do. He judges us on what we can do and we don't. And I promise you, you could do a lot more than you think. You could pray a lot better. You could learn a lot better. You could be a lot nicer. You could be a lot more. A lot more you could be. You just got to try your best. Try your best. Every day a little more. Every day a little more. If you're trying your best, you have no reason whatsoever to be worried. You have no reason whatsoever to be anxious. You have no reason whatsoever to have any doubts. Why? Because you're trying your best. And the outcome is the hands of Hashem. This is the key to Teshuvah and success in life. You have yourself an opportunity to do your best every single day. Be'ezrat Hashem, we take advantage of it and come back and reconvene next week with some new learning, with some new opportunities to try our best and Be'ezrat Hashem get others to do the same. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ve'amen.